Happy Jewish New Year to Kanye West and all of his Jewish friends. Now, as the Jewish people celebrate their new year, Kanye West is also busy turning a new leaf, preparing fans for what could be either his greatest comeback of all time or his final chance at redeeming himself in the eyes of the general public and reclaiming the title as the greatest artist alive. And what I mean by that is Kanye really has one chance left. Not because he pissed everyone off with his comments about the mustache man, not because he interrupted Taylor Swift on stage, not because he said Donald Trump is his idol and then decided to run against him as president, and not because he never gave us Yandhi.
You said the album was coming out on Saturday. It didn't come out. What happened?
I didn't finish it.
The reason why this is Kanye West's last chance at re-establishing the essence of the sound and artistry that we love from him and what feels like we haven't heard from him in years is because it's been a long downhill battle, digging an increasingly steeper fall from grace with every album and interview we've gotten from Kanye over the last couple of years, even with his sneaker releases going from the classic Red Octobers and the futuristic 350s that we saw on every basic white girl for the last decade, to Kanye now channeling his creativity and pivoting into the release of Billy Boots and sock shoes. We have bared witness to the deterioration of Kanye's creative genius and been victims to the atrocities that were his last 3 album rollouts, which as a Kanye fan felt like I've been trolled more with the release of Vultures 1, 2, and Donda 2, trolling levels more disrespectful and blatant than the mockery he made of Drake when he rapped Poopity Scoop over the Lift Yourself beat that was supposed to go on Drake's Scorpion album. And with the blatant lack of care and disregard for his fans, the increasing lack of effort that Kanye has put into each new release, and the heartbreak and harsh handling he's received from his ex-wife Kim Kardashian, the evil dentist that was allegedly supplying Ye with fatal amounts of nitrous oxide, a substance that can do irreversible damage on one's brain.
Ryan Garcia, this I'm on the nitrous.
And now the alleged divorce of his new wife, Bianca Censori, you know, the one that was eating his Italian sausage on a boat in Italy. All of this hardship, all of this backstabbing, all of this heartbreak, all of the people that turned on Kanye due to the disgusting comments he made back in 2022. If we're judging Kanye's mental state based on the music he's releasing, he's likely at the lowest point in his entire career since the tragic passing of his mother back in 2007. But all this to say, Kanye is no stranger to adversity. Kanye is no stranger to a massive comeback. Kanye is no stranger to being public enemy number 1 and using that as fuel to create some of his best work that we've ever heard from him. Think back to 2009 when he interrupted Taylor Swift on the VMA stage, saying that Beyonce deserved the award for the best music video of that year instead of her. Funny enough, a lot of people overlooked the fact that this was actually Kanye's 3rd time going up on an award stage and letting the audience know that the winner of the award didn't truly deserve that award. It first happened back in 2006 at the EMAs.
Oh, Kanye, you won already. This video cost $1 million, fam. I had Pam Anderson. I'm jumping across canyons and now you're gonna have to share. If I don't win, the award show loses credibility. It's nothing against you. I've never seen your video. It's nothing against you. But hell no, man.
And it also happened when Kanye West himself won an award, but felt like he didn't deserve it, so he gave it to Outkast.
I've been waiting for the opportunity to actually win an award that I felt like I shouldn't win, so I could tell y'all. And I realized that y'all gave me this award because I've done so many good videos, you know what I'm saying? But I want to give this award right here to Big Boy and Brian Barber, because in my opinion, I feel like this is the best video.
But I say all that to say that Taylor Swift incident marked a huge turning point in both Taylor Swift and Kanye West's careers. Obviously, Taylor Swift after that was looked at as American sweetheart, but Kanye West on the flip side was looked at as the most evil person within the music industry. She was the new girl, this was her first major look, this was her first major award. Why would Kanye destroy her moment so brutally like that? On the flip side, Kanye West was on the heels of 808s and Heartbreak, his most experimental album at that point in time. And back in 2008, that album wasn't necessarily looked at as the influential masterpiece that it is today. Instead, many of his fans were confused as to why Kanye pivoted in such a left field direction, ditched the confident, braggadocious bars for vulnerability, pain, and a lot of auto-tune. Kanye knew he had to win his day one fans back and the general public as they were upset over that whole Taylor Swift thing, which now in 2024 seems like a drop in the bucket compared to other things that Kanye West has said or done. But what did he do? He isolated himself in the island of Hawaii, linking up with legendary producers and artists alike, and gave us his magnum opus, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This was Kanye giving his fans what they wanted to hear, kind of returning to form, kind of returning back to his roots, while also keeping things innovative, giving us a timestamp on where he was at in his current moment in life. He said himself that the first single for that album, Power, was the safest first single he's ever released in his entire career. And he did that for a reason. He needed to get back on the public's good side. He needed to show everyone why we loved him. Well, 14 Jewish New Years later, and it seems like we're in a very similar predicament. I mean, at this point, I've forgotten what a good Kanye West album sounds like. Donda 1 was great, but it was very bloated. And since then, the best bars he's dropped were Instagram rants against Kim Kardashian's then boyfriend at the time, Pete Davidson. Kanye West most definitely hit a career all-time low with the release of his album Vultures 2. And once that came out, I said Kanye West needs to pack house. And at the time, I thought the best thing for him to do would be to retire. I mean, the guy gave us graduation, right? He could have retired after that and I would have been good. But of course, in true Kanye fashion, he was fueled by the hatred, fueled by the criticism, fueled by the disappointment of his fans and critics alike. And who knew that it would be the Chinese president Xi Jinping, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that man is responsible for this new resurgence of the old Kanye West that we are about to experience. See, Kanye did a couple shows in China over the last few months, and if you've been keeping up with his Donda or Vultures rollouts, then you know that it's been a common theme where he gets on stage without a microphone and just lets a bunch of songs play. Well, it was at that show in China, or maybe it was the one before in South Korea, I don't really remember, but at one of these shows, Kanye West actually picked back up the microphone, he played some of his old records, and he realized how great he truly was, and how low he set the standard for the new music he's been releasing over the last couple of years. And ever since then, he's been on a mission to return to form, to bring back the essence of the old Kanye, or give us a new Kanye with a new perspective, but the same outer-worldly passion for sound quality, production, and incredible song composition that we saw from Kanye in his early years. See, he recently scrapped the idea of his Vultures 3 album, putting that horrible era to rest, and announcing his new solo album, which is going to be titled Bully. And I really hope this new project bullies all these mediocre albums that we've heard over the last few years, and reminds everyone why Kanye was and still is the greatest. See, we've only heard one record off this new album. It already sounds incredible, already sounds like a return to form, but also sounds simultaneously like a fresh new start for Kanye West.
Won't let you fly solo. It's been a long time coming. Think about it every night and day to try to stay away to keep my heart in touch.
However, there's a journalist by the name of Tour who has a Substack called Culture Fries by Tour, and he recently published an article which details his time spent with Kanye West over the last few weeks, and he's giving us a glimpse into Kanye West's new creative process and the making of this album that he's about to give us. The article is called Why Kanye is Living in Tokyo, inside the making of his new album. It's a new chapter in his career and in his life. And there's a lot of exciting things within this article, so let's break it all down. It starts off with Tour saying, Kanye West is now living in Tokyo. He's living in a hotel, hard at work on his next album, Bully, a concept album that could be very exciting for his fans. He's recording the album in his hotel room, not in a recording studio, and he's planning to be the sole producer on it. Now, already that alone sounds incredible. I can't remember the last time we've gotten a full-fledged concept album from Kanye West. Arguably the only ones that stuck to true themes front to back were College Dropout and Late Registration, his first two albums, as they incorporated different skits and subject matter that was all kind of congruent with the album's packaging, theme, and title. We've also never once in Kanye West's career heard an album that was entirely produced just by him. I think the only album in history to exist with only Kanye West production is Daytona by Pusha T. I could be wrong, so correct me in the comments, but that album had a very consistent sound. It was riddled with different samples, chopped up in classic Kanye West fashion, and the production was pretty stripped back. There were no hard-hitting 808 drums, no choirs harmonizing in the background, no orchestras, no crazy guitar solos. It was very stripped back, focused on samples, and it created the perfect platform for Pusha T to just go in and hit us with hard-hitting verse after verse. But since My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, no Kanye West album has ever followed one cohesive sound. It's always featured multiple different genres incorporated into one project. So it's really hard for me to imagine what a full-fledged solo Kanye West produced album would sound like but I'm definitely here for it, especially if it's a concept album. Anyways, Tour goes on to describe his time with Kanye by saying, "It seems like Kanye's moving into a new chapter of his life and his journey as a musician. He might end up being the only rapper on Bully, but it's not done yet, so who knows." Now, that would be extremely interesting, and I cannot see Kanye West doing that, where he would be the only rapper with no features on one of his solo albums. He's never done that in his entire career, and one of his superpowers has been to take the best out of the current hottest artists in the game and incorporated their sound into his. Plus, Kanye West albums are usually like time capsules for what the current soundscape of hip-hop is like, and I love that about his project, so I would hope that we get some sort of features on this project. I mean, with 808s and Heartbreak, he introduced the world to Kid Cudi, while simultaneously incorporating a lot of T-Pain and Lil Wayne's dominant use of autotune into his own music. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy obviously gave us the introduction to Nicki Minaj, but also showed us what vetted rappers like Rick Ross sounded like in their primes with prime Kanye West production. Jesus gave us prime Chief Keef, Life of Pablo gave us prime Designer and Chance the Rapper, even though their falls from graces have been much larger than Kanye's. Even Vultures 1 showed us what artists like Rich the Kid and Playboi Carti could do at the top of their game. So to see a Kanye tracklist with no features behind him could definitely be interesting, but also something that I don't necessarily need. Tour continued by saying, "Someone who knows said, this album is 100% Kanye. They meant it's pretty much made by Kanye alone. He's producing everything 100% himself. This will be 100% Kanye West, which it hasn't been in many, many years." I love this image of Kanye, the embattled global star making his comeback album in a luxury hotel in one of the biggest, most beautiful, most aesthetically interesting, and technologically advanced cities in the world. I picture him taking a break and leaning on the balcony, looking out at this amazing futuristic city while wearing something from the future as some groundbreaking beat plays behind him on a loop. If his life were a movie, it would be an amazing scene. It reminds me of the period before the release of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, when he was embattled and holed up in Honolulu, making his comeback album. That time he invited a ton of people to come out and help him build an epic, iconic album. This time he's in Tokyo and he's pretty much alone. It seems like he's turning the page and moving into a fresh chapter of his life with a new city, perhaps a new sound, and a new sense of peace. A friend said, "I think Japan is good for him. In LA, he's got a war with the paparazzi. He doesn't like the paparazzi. When he's in Japan, people see him, but they're very quiet. They're very respectful. Very seldom will they even come up and ask for a picture. So you can move around Japan with no security." Now, it's interesting because I also recently saw a video on Twitter, where this girl was just kind of shopping around and taking a video of herself in the mirror at a clothing store. And in the background, you just see Kanye West by himself checking out some clothes. And I think that video perfectly encapsulates what this writer is saying, in that Kanye West is truly in peace, in isolation, in this new city with no distractions, nothing to bring him down, just him, his thoughts, and his creativity. Very similar to when he was in Honolulu recording My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but it seems like Kanye here has hopefully cleaned house and removed a lot of the toxic people that were in his team, and has instead found a new creative spark within the tranquility of just being by himself. In Japan, he has a different level of peace of mind, which obviously leads to being able to make really good music, because your mind is at ease, your mind is at rest, you're not paranoid about anything. The writer continues, "I don't know when Ye began living in Tokyo. A year ago maybe? Maybe. Some of the Vultures music was made there. People say it's hard to quantify when he started living there because he's sort of an upper-class homeless nowadays. He's living in hotels all over the world. There was a stint at the Chateau Marmont in Beverly Hills, a stint in Florence, and a stint in Dubai, but now he seems to look at Tokyo as his home." Now, this is interesting because it does seem like Kanye West has constantly been on the move ever since he divorced Kim Kardashian and has no longer had a stable home to be constantly living with his kids at all times. It seems like Kanye West has kind of been lost just from the outside looking in, and it seems like he's been stripped of that sense of home. I believe he even said that in an interview in 2022 when he was on that whole rant about the mustache man, but he was basically talking about, similarly to Elon Musk, how he didn't have an actual concrete home. He was kind of just on the move at all times. This could be great when you have a lot of things you need to accomplish in a short amount of time, but it's also a very hard way to find that true peace of mind. So if he's now settled in Tokyo, kind of doing his own thing on his own, that could spark a very strong creative juice that we haven't seen from Kanye in a while. Now, in Tokyo, Ye's got no entourage. In the past, he traveled places with 30 to 50 people around him, ranging from music people to architects to shoe designers to fashion designers. A whole creative beehive buzzing around him. Now, in Tokyo, it's just him and an engineer in a single hotel room, pulling together an album at a big crossroads in his career. This is more than a comeback album. This is a I'm in a new stage of my life album. Musically, Ye is normally the product of a team. He comes with big ideas, but there's producers helping him pull the sound together and writers helping him pull the lyrics together. Not this time. I don't think that's the reality of this record, a friend said. That means lots of Ye himself playing, and when he's in front of the keyboard and the drum sequencer and other music-making machines, it could be magical. A friend said, when you get him actually on the machines, that's a different beast. That's when you get Kanye the producer at the highest level. When he's actually touching the machines, there's nobody better. He just has a gift when it comes to that. And that's definitely a fact. I mean, there's no doubt that while Kanye has definitely regressed or digressed or whatever the word is as a lyricist, like he's definitely gotten much worse as a lyricist as the years have gone by, but there's no doubt that his production game is unmatched. He hasn't lost a beat, no pun intended, when it comes to producing. He's still an amazing producer. As he's kind of fallen off as a lyricist, he's still given us tons of amazing bodies of work that have featured his own involvement on the beat making. And while I don't think it's necessarily the best idea for Kanye to handle all of the actual writing of the, verses and songs on the album, I do think it'd be great to hear him produce an entire record just by himself. I mean, that's what he came in the game doing. He came in the game as a producer. That's definitely what he does best. And while he's evolved into something much more, much bigger than that, it is great to see Kanye strip everything back, go back to the root of where this all started, isolate yourself from the toxic people and environment that might have been plaguing your prior music, and go back to focusing on the essence of what makes you great. So Tour concludes this article by saying, what's the general sonic direction of Bully? He's pulling from an eclectic pool. He's traveled the world a lot, so he's aware of a lot of more music than probably ever before. So I think sound-wise, it's probably varied, but in a Kanye-esque form. And now I want you guys to let me know in the comments, right? Because we have gotten a lot of music from Kanye West over the last couple years. And while I kind of describe this as a massive fall from grace, which I do believe it is, it's pretty incredible that his fall from grace does entail him getting a #1 album and #1 single in the same year that people consider to be his worst year musically of all time. But let me know in the comments, what would it take from Kanye West for you to hear to be like, okay, yeah, this guy is back at the top of the pinnacle and he's back to being the greatest rap artist alive at the current moment. For me, aside from a couple rapping performances on records like 530 or Burn, I haven't seen Kanye West, the rapper, give me something interesting enough where I could be like, wow, this actually blew me away since maybe Kids See Ghosts. I say that from a purely rapping perspective. I haven't heard verses from Kanye, bars from Kanye, subject matter from Kanye that have blown me away like his earlier work. There were small glimpses of it on Donda 1 and Vultures 1, but that's my main criticism for Kanye, is that I feel like as mainstream hip-hop has kind of shifted away from focusing on bars, so has Kanye. He hasn't valued or invested in the quality of what he's actually saying relative to how the music is actually sounding. Now, I'm not expecting like college dropout level verses from Kanye ever again in his career. I don't think we'll ever see another Never Let Me Down. I don't think we'll ever see another 2 Words. But frankly, obviously Kanye West is at a much different point in his life than he was back then. Back then, he was very hungry specifically to prove himself as a rapper, nothing else. I mean, you have to put it into perspective, right? He was basically what Metro Boomin is today times 1,000. He gave Jay-Z all the classic beats on the Blueprint 1 and Blueprint 2 and the Black Album. He produced a bunch of classic Common albums. I mean, he even did Stand Up by Ludacris. That was like a #1 hit for many, many weeks back in, I think, 2002 or 2003. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments your favorite Kanye West beats before he was even making his own albums. I mean, if you know, you know. Like Kanye West, again, he was Metro Boomin before Metro Boomin. He was the go-to producer. His sound was everywhere. And for a label, it was a stupid investment, or at least a very risky investment, to try to mold this guy who's a super producer and develop him, put all these resources into him becoming an actual rapper with full-fledged projects, especially considering at the time, gangster rap was the dominant subgenre of hip-hop, and Kanye West definitely did not fill the mold or the archetype of what a successful rapper was back in 2003. So people didn't consider him a profitable enough investment as a rapper, therefore he had to come with the strongest bars we've ever heard from Kanye. Then he took it to the next level as he was going on tour with U2 back in 2007. he saw that their songs, while they weren't maybe the most complex lyrically, the simplicity and strong songwriting of their hooks enabled them to resonate on a much larger global level than Kanye West had seen at that moment in time. That's when he gave us the anthemic records that were featured on Graduation and the boundary-breaking pop records on 808s and Heartbreak. Those were the two albums that truly launched Kanye West into global superstardom. Then he had to remind the public why they loved him so much with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but after that, it was pure raw experimentation. Everything from Yeezus to Pablo to Donda 1 was boundaryless, all-encompassing, genre-pushing, forward-thinking music, but again, lyricism had not been at the forefront since Late Registration. With all the turmoil and hardship within Kanye's life over the last few years, I would love to see a return to form of the actual rapper, Kanye West, and hear him touch on a lot of this subject matter in this new album, especially if this is supposed to be a concept album that's completely performed only by him and encapsulates this new fresh mindset that he currently has. Hearing a return to the actual bars is, for me, what would win me over and be like, all right, Kanye's back in my good graces and I value him as much of an artist today as I did back in, let's say, 2016, all the way back to 2004. But I want to know what you guys think. After mediocre album after mediocre album, what would it take from Kanye West in terms of the soundscape or sonic direction of this new album that would completely win you over as a fan? Does it lie in the bars? Does it lie in the production? Does it lie in the subject matter? Do you want to hear a full-fledged concept album from Kanye? Do you want to hear him incorporate sounds from Asia or wherever else he's been traveling as a quote-unquote luxury homeless person like this person has described? I mean, we know there's no true return to form for Kanye as he's always constantly evolved. No album sounds like the last one, but some most definitely sound better than others. So let me know in the comments what you guys are expecting for this album, what you'd like to hear, what you think we will hear. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Is Kanye done if this album is a dub? Are you celebrating the Jewish New Year like Kanye West is? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.